Hey guys, welcome back to the Hez Project. I'm John Urlaza, and we're back this week talking about Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4, The Siege. So Mando and Baby Yoda are finally reunited once again with Cara Dune and Greef Karga? I don't remember his name. Greef Karga, I believe his name is. Carl Weathers and Gina Carano. They're characters who are absolutely fantastic. I fell in love with them in the first season. At first, I'm thinking Carl Weathers is a bad guy, someone that, I'm not really going to be a fan of in the first season, but, just every scene I saw him in that first season, he was just gold. He made me smile, he made me laugh, he was very charming as kind of an anti-hero, bounty hunter type guy, and then that whole experience he had when Baby Yoda healed him in the first season, and his whole perspective changed on the matter. He no longer wanted to betray Mando like he planned with his buddies back in the first season, and it became protecting the child, aiding Mando. And that was just a great little arc to see play out in that first season. The same with Cara Dune, she started off in a little rocky spot being an ex-shock trooper, and then she moved on being like a mercenary, and then she ran back into Mando, because they have a past, I guess. She didn't really care too much about him or the baby, but she ended up helping them out, and fell in love with him, of course, towards the end of the season. If anybody thought that we were going to see Ahsoka Tano in this episode, you're wrong. Because the way The Mandalorian works is, at the end of an episode, when someone tells them, oh, this is where you should be going all along, and I'm like, okay. We go there, next episode, there's a problem. The Mando ship couldn't work in this episode properly. They didn't fix it very well at the ship harbor in the last episode, so he had to make another stop and do another favor for some friends. And yeah, that's just how the show works. Like, it's kind of convenient in its way, but all of the little sub-journeys that it brings us on are all purposeful. They all have a meaning and a reason for existing. And this episode stands on its own very much. This episode was epic. It was about probably my second favorite now. I kind of like it a little more than the last episode. I know, right? 4 Mandalorians. What's better than that? But something about seeing these characters one more time, it was very fun to see Mando, Baby Yoda, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune. I always forget their names. It was very fun to see all 4 of those back together, because they were a great trio, or quadruo. They were a great group of people that worked together in the last season, especially in those last 2 episodes, the very thrilling last 2 episodes. As I said, Mando needs his ship repaired, so he goes to his old friends, but his old friends need help. They found a base that they were stationed at. They're thinking, oh, it's a military base. We gotta go there. We gotta blow it up. We gotta make sure nobody is there. And, of course, Greef Karga tells Mando, yeah, it's a big base, but there's a skeleton crew. Haven't we heard that before? We see some familiar faces. We see at first the blue alien guy from the very first episode of The Mandalorian. The guy that Mando was hunting and actually captured in the very first episode, in that bar fight. And he was like, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. Yeah, so this guy is back. He's now working for Greef Karga, and Greef and Cara Dune have like this whole little civilization on Navarro. It looks very peaceful because it's always been dead. It's always been desolate. We haven't seen much life in any of this, like here and there, but this was about as much life as I saw, and it was really nice to see it. Like, Greef Karga has turned his life around. He seems to be not like a family man, but a more civilized human being, someone who's not evil and nefarious like a bounty hunter would be. And Cara Dune is taking over the town. She's the marshal of this town. Marshal Dune is what they're calling her. Greef Karga tells Mando, you can't bring Baby Yoda with us on this mission. Where we're going, you don't want to bring him. Here, we're going to bring him into school. So they bring Baby Yoda into this classroom with a bunch of space desks, and there's a bunch of kids sitting there, and they plant Baby Yoda into one of the seats. He looks over and he sees this one kid's little blue Ritz crackers, and then he asks for one, like, with his baby noises. And then the kid's like, no. puts one in his mouth, and then the camera shows the kid's face with a bunch of blue crumbs on his chin. Looks over, Baby Yoda force pulled all of the blue Ritz crackers into his hands, and he just starts eating them. And he's literally eating them for the entirety of the episode. After they leave Baby Yoda in this school, Mando, Cara Dune, Greef Karga, and the blue guy from the first episode ever, they all venture out onto the blue guy's speeder, and they're basically using this blue alien as the group's lackey. They're making him do all the uncomfortable stuff, you know, unlocking all the doors first, so if anything happens, he goes, or, you know, just all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was very funny. This actor, whoever played the blue guy, I think his name is Mithral. I don't remember his name, but I thought he was very compelling. He was way more to him than just the first episode we saw, like, over a year ago. As they make their way into the ship, they're taking down stormtroopers left and right. They get to this little control room that has like this big old lava pit at the bottom. They're thinking, oh, we gotta make that unstable so it could blow up the whole base, and then we don't have to worry about it. Blue guy, you're up. The dude was like, you know, I'm afraid of heights and lava. You're like, yeah, and I'll put you back in carbonite, so go do it. It was just funny that they were like just very low-key bullying him, but don't bully people. It's not cool. Everyone gets alerted, so there's even more stormtroopers running down the aisles, and you're like, it's a lot more than a skeleton crew. The gang turns a corner, and they see these two Imperial guards at this little control center, and they're like, blast them! And then one of them is shooting directly at Mando, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune, while the other guy is shooting at the computer. Like, he wasn't even concerned about their life or anything. Well, you know, because the Empire is all about the long live the Empire. And they'll do anything to protect that. They both end up dying. Mando shoots them both. And then I think the blue guy, he plays a little video, and it's a scientist from the first season that worked very closely with that client guy, you know, the guy who wanted Baby Yoda. It's a video clip of him talking about, we have this test subject, and I was only able to get a little bit of a sample from the donor, and I'm quickly pick up he's talking about Baby Yoda, because they had him for a short amount of time. And, you know, we didn't get enough M cell readings or whatever. Like, M cells? What are you referring to? M cells, or the M, whatever he said, is the metachlorian count. I believe that is what he said, and it makes sense. Yeah, I don't care for that explanation in Star Wars that, you know, the Jedis or everyone in the universe has their own metachlorian count, and whichever one has the highest one is more force sensitive. Like, in essence, that's a cool idea, but I don't know. I'm not entirely on board with it. Stormtroopers fill up the halls once again. They're shooting at Mando and the crew, and then Mando's like, oh crap, I gotta get back to that school and pick up Baby Yoda. He immediately just takes off on his jetpack, and then this episode, I feel like it goes in a different direction. For the first time, like, we're really following Greef Karga, Cara Dune, and the blue alien, and there's no Mando. This whole, like, end scene, there's really no Mando until the very end. Just the way that this episode went about taking that group and just taking them, making them the focal point for about 3 to 5 minutes while Mando was out searching for Baby Yoda. I just thought it was awesome. And seeing them getting chased down by scout troopers on speeders, just like a big old callback from The Return of the Jedi, I thought was an awesome sequence to see them. You know, I just always loved the look of scout troopers and speeders. That's just like the coolest thing. They take them all out. We see 4 TIE fighters start following them, and I'm like, oh crap. He manages to get one of them, but it falls right onto the cannon. They're almost at the end of the little lava valley, and you see there's still 3 TIE fighters coming after them. But Mando's ship comes out of nowhere, blasts them all, and saves the day. I thought this segment was golden. I loved it. This whole thrilling sequence was just amazing. We saw the same X-Wing pilot from 2 episodes ago. Not Dave Filoni's character, the other guy with the white beard. You know, he was questioning Greef Karga, asking him, you know, oh, what else happened to you guys? Did you see anything weird at all? Like a Razor Crest or a Mandalorian? Tell me. And Grief Karga, bless his soul, he was lying left and right to save Mando's ass. He was not telling anything about it. He was acting like that part of the story didn't exist. And I thought that was hilarious. That same officer walks out of that little room and he goes over to Cara Dune. He's asking her, "You're a very impressive soldier. You should join the rebellion." And she's like, "I'm not really like a joining type person." She said something along the lines of that. I cannot express how much I loved that scene. I loved how we're seeing Cara Dune turn from bad to good, even though she's been doing good this whole time since we've seen her, but she's still been a mercenary, an anti-hero type character. We're finally getting hints that she's going to go full good, join the rebellion, and I'm all for it. I really want this to happen. Then the show cuts to space, and then we see a big ship entering the top of the screen. Very reminiscent of the beginning of the original trilogy ones, very much so. This big ship, this big Star Destroyer-like ship enters frame, and it follows, I think, this female officer. She starts walking down all these hallways, gets into this room, and there he is, Moff Gideon, played by Giancarlo Esposito. I will always say his name because his name is awesome. Both his names. But, yep, he's standing there. She goes to talk to him. He asks her, "Is the tracking device planted?" And she says, "Yes, it is planted in the Raven Crest, Mando's ship." When did that happen? I don't know what Moff Gideon is planning here, but I'm scared for Baby Yoda. I'm scared for Mando. So anyways, guys, let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you watch it? Are you a fan of The Mandalorian? If you aren't, and you're watching this, thanks for the support, I guess? Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know what you think of the channel. Let me know what you think of my content. Go leave a like while you're down there. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested, because there's always more to come.